Policing who should be allowed to purchase or use an item is a dangerous facet of consumerism. More and more companies are making adaptive clothing, which is clothing made specifically with disabled people in mind. If we were to start saying that non-disabled people shouldn't purchase or use adaptive clothing items, that sets a precedent that certain people are not disabled enough to need adaptive clothing. So many disabled people are already not believed when we say what our access needs are, and that has to do in large part with people having a different idea of what disability is. So it can be really harmful to say that an entire group of people can't purchase or use adaptive clothing, because then that sets up people who genuinely need adaptive clothing but may not fit the stereotypical definition of what disability is to be criticized. Also, adaptive clothing, even though it's marketed towards disabled people, it has benefits for non-disabled people as well. Like buttons are a pain for everybody, so Velcro and magnets instead of buttons would just make life easier for everyone. Obviously, things like accessible parking spaces have to be regulated because it's the law, and if they weren't regulated, there would not be enough availability of them. Also, if physical items like adaptive clothing, accessible jar openers, accessible can openers, accessible scissors, etc. were marketed as only for disabled people, the prices of those items would likely increase, thereby making them more inaccessible for the people that need them. This is why I actually think brands need to rethink how they market adaptive clothing, because I don't think it should be its own separate thing. I think if it were mainstreamed, it would be more normalized, it would be easier to find because it'd be more widespread, and then it would likely be more affordable. You identify as non-disabled and you want to buy an adaptive clothing item that has magnets instead of buttons on it because you don't feel like doing buttons, go for it. When considering whether or not to purchase an item, I think everybody should just consider whether it would genuinely help them or make their life better in some way.